The Nash bargaining solution is for two players to split the surplus an agreement would create. Now here's some characteristics and assumptions we're making about the setting. The two players can either agree or disagree. The rules of negotiation are ambiguous. In a little bit, we're going to start talking about game theory, where the rules are very clearly defined. But in many situations, exactly what the process is indeterminate and evolves over time. A key assumption is that we're making right now is that both players are equally good negotiators. We'll study a little bit later on what happens when one party is a better negotiator than the other. The setting is one where an agreement specifies how much each player receives from a fixed outcome. So if they agree, they both know that the outcome, there's a prize, let's call it, that they can obtain, and they know what that value is. And finally, if they disagree, each receives a disagreement outcome. Again, they know what will happen if they don't agree, and they know what the total value of an agreement is. Nash concluded that the only reasonable outcome is for the players to split the surplus an agreement would create. Now, the way an analyst identifies the bargaining solution is to figure out what outcome makes the gains each player receives from the agreement equal. What a player gains is the payoff from the agreement less the player's disagreement outcome. So let's let A1 represent the payoff that player 1 gets from the agreement, and D1 be the value that they would receive if they disagreed, the disagreement outcome. So A1 minus A2 represents the gain that player 1 gets when they agree. In similar fashion, A2 is the payoff to player 2 when they agree, and D2 would be the payoff that they would get if they didn't agree. So the difference between A2 and D2 is the payoff to player 2. The Nash bargaining solution is for those two terms to equal, or those two differences to equal each other. Well, that sounds pretty vague. Well, help. Can you give me an example? Sure. Let's suppose we have two firms, A and B, that are considering a merger. As a standalone entity, A is worth 30 bucks, B is worth 20 bucks. The combination of it is worth $130. So clearly they can both gain by merging because the market value goes from a total of 50 up to 130. So at the end, if they merge, they can share some amount. They can share $130 somehow. Let's let X be the payoff to the owners of firm A when the firms merge. That means that 130 minus X has got to be the payoff to the B player, to B. All right. The gain that A obtains when it agrees to the merger is going to be X minus 30. X is what it gets when it agrees to the merger. 30 is the default value. And the gain to the B player is going to be what it gets when it agrees. 130 minus X less its default value, which is 20. If you do some math on that, you'll find that X is equal to 70. Which means when the two firms merge, X will receive $70 of the total $130 market value somehow, and B will receive the remaining $60. Notice the difference in their payoffs, 70 minus 60 is $10. That equals the difference in their default values, 30 minus 10. Well, at least three ways exist to make X equal $70. The owners of firm B could purchase firm A and pay the owners of A 70 bucks straight up. The owners of A could purchase B and pay the owners of firm B, that's a B there, $60. The owners of the firm could agree to exchange shares of their old companies for shares of the combination to make the owners of firm A own $70 of the combination, and the owners of B would own $60 of the combination. Now let's consider some things that happen with conditions change. Suppose some smart lawyers find a way to void a contract with another potential buyer that increases the market value with a combination of 140. I mean, the original value was 130. What if it goes up to 140? Well, the two players will share that $10 increase. So X rises to 75, and B will also receive $5 more when they agree. If they find a way to avoid a contract with the suppliers that decreases the market value of the combination to 90, if you reduce the value by $40, the payoff to both players goes down by 20. Now, what if firm A secures an offer from another suitor that would make its market value 60 instead of 30? Well, its default value rises by 30 bucks, but when it agrees to the merger, the Nash equilibrium solution, it increases its payoff only by $15. It gets half the gain. X goes from 70 up to $85. Finally, if shareholders file a lawsuit that would make the market value of firm B equal $10 instead of 20, so now B's default value has gone down by 10, that means that A's payoff when they agree to merger is going to rise by 5. And finally, if the shareholders of firm B change a tax law or interpretation to obtain an additional $20 benefit, if and only if the merger occurs, that $20 benefit is going to show up. They're going to get $10 more benefit, but guess who gets the other $10? The players or the owners of firm A.